Winter is finally here, and we're breaking down all the things you missed in last night's fatal finale on today's Nerdist News. Like milk of the poppy that's been in the sun too long, we're about to get spoiled up in here. That's right, we're talking about the epic Game of Thrones Season 6 finale, so if you haven't watched it yet, now's your last chance to escape. Are you gone? Good, because I gotta talk about this shit. Let's do this! Yes, at last, winter is here, you guys. And in an action-packed extended episode, we got to see what this newly winterized world looks like, with Dany moving on to Westeros, Cersei in the Iron Throne, and Jon Snow, the king in the north. The wars to come just got a heck of a lot more smoldery. And not just because of the wildfire. Still, with all that action going down in King's Landing, we're breaking down everything you may have missed in the Winds of Winter, also the title of the next book in George R.R. Martin's series, but you already knew that, so we're not counting it. First, the obvious. R plus L equals J, y'all! That's right, Lyanna is totally Jon Snow's mother, confirming a long-held fan theory as to the Stark bastard's parentage. Of course, that did leave some questions unanswered. Is Rhaegar the father? Were he and Lyanna a couple in love, or was it rape? And what in the heck is Jon Snow's real name? Many have speculated his name will be Aegon, a moniker that, in the books, is held by a possible other secret Targaryen nicknamed Young Griff. With him out of the picture, it feels like the way to go, and our amateur lip-reading skills only encourage that. Either way, there's definitely a Targaryen Stark hybrid in our midst. Now, speaking of Starks, did anyone else notice the return of the direwolf sigil to Winterfell in the opening credits? That's right, the House Bolton sigil has been replaced and the Starks are officially back, baby! For the first time, fans found themselves teary-eyed before the title sequence even finished. I'm not crying. You're crying. It's true, you're crying. I'm not crying, because I never cry. Next up, sweet, sweet Samwell Tarly.
Hello.
Yes, Sam finally found his one true love, other than Gilly, and it's a library. Yep, one possible reason behind the longest episode in Game of Thrones history possibly lies in the what felt like 5 straight minutes of Sam Tarly smiling longingly at a bunch of books and the whirligig from the opening credits. Actually known as an orrery, was hanging like a fancy chandelier illuminating the books in what looks to be sigils for every house. Nice Easter egg, or a hint that there's much more magic prophecy controlling the game than we previously thought. Also, I love orreries. I highly recommend you guys look them up. They're gorgeous. I want to start a collection. Just saying. It's like a weird personal thing. I think they're outstanding. They just look so magical. Next on our list, Holy Time Jumps George. Was anyone else confused by the seeming teleportation of some of our favorite characters? I mean, it took about 2 seconds for Lady Olenna to be comfortably situated in Dorne, dressed in black, already mourning the loss of her family that blew up in the Sept, which happened merely scenes before. But she also seems oddly composed, so our best guess is maybe a few weeks have passed before this moment. In fact, it's possible months even go by during the finale as we see Lord Varys have a nice long chat with Lady Olenna and then still make it all the way across the sea to join Dany on her ship. And don't get us started on the trip from Braavos to the Twins. That shit ain't easy, even for a faceless girl. But back to Dany's fleet. As her ships sailed across the sea, dragons along for the ride, eagle-eyed fans caught a glimpse of the family sigils present on the sails during one of the last shots of the fleet. Among the sigils included both the Martell's sun and the Tyrell's flower sailing alongside the Greyjoy's Kraken, making for one hell of a team to beat. Let's just hope Euron Greyjoy didn't have time to build a stronger navy during all those time jumps. Now let's talk Lannisters. I mean, everyone knew poor King Tommen wasn't going to survive the episode, and we even predicted as much right here. But we didn't predict how he'd bite it, especially the window-jumping parallel, recalling Bran's plummet out of the tower at the end of the first episode of Season 1. So Tommen joined Joffrey and Myrcella in the long line of death that Cersei cannot escape. But why exactly does this keep happening to her kids? Oh yeah, it's because this was already prophesized. Of course, you guys remember back in the Season 5 premiere, a young Cersei visited Maggie the Frog and received a prophecy. The prophet told Cersei that all of her children would die before her, and gold shall be their crowns and gold their shrouds. And well, as soon as we saw Tommen clad in that funeral chic gold, we knew his time was coming to a quick end, just like Joffrey and Myrcella before him. You'd think Cersei would have learned this the first time and demanded more of a chartreuse look for her kids, but whatever. The prophecy also foretold that she would die at the hands of the Valancourt, which roughly translates to little brother in Valerian. A popular fan theory is that Tyrion, who's currently sailing into Westeros with a pretty stacked army plus a few dragons, might be the one behind the familial smackdown, but my money's on her also technically younger brother Jaime. After that last look between Jaime and his brand new Queen Cersei on the throne, if looks could kill, she'd be joining Tommen right about now. Now let's talk Starks. With the vengeance-happy Lady Stoneheart a no-show this season, who can be taking up the missing hit list her non-appearances left? How about her newly trained assassin daughter, Arya Stark? After killing Walder Frey in the same way Cat was murdered, coupled with her love of all things bloody vengeance, Arya went full Sweeney Todd, baked 2 of Walder's sons into a meat pie. Now guys, if human pies sound familiar, it might be because of Bran's rat cook story from season 3, or it's because in the books, people pies are hinted at and possibly maybe made multiple times. The Manderleys, big-time Stark bannermen, led by the gray goatee guy in Jon's King of the North Part 2 scene, cooked some Frey boys into Ramsay Bolton's wedding pie, according to a long-held fan theory. But this Arya as Stoneheart situation does clear the way for an Arya the Hound reunion with the Brotherhood without banners, so don't stop believing all that Clegane Bowl hype just yet. Hype! Now with hype on the brain, let's talk that iconic Tower of Joy scene. Did you guys notice the close-up on Arthur Dayne's sword during Baby Jon's birth? Well, follow me here because we're going to go deep on this one. Throughout the show and the books, we've heard rumblings from Melisandre about the prophecy of a hero that would rise up to fight against the darkness, aka the prince who was promised, a hero born under a bleeding star. But how does that line up with Bran's vision? Well, we see Baby Jon is being protected by Arthur Dayne, whose house sigil is a comet with a sword. According to legend, his own sword, Dawn, was forged from the heart of a fallen star. Now Arthur gets cut down with Dawn when Ned Stark arrives at the Tower of Joy to rescue Lyanna, giving us the bleeding star from the prophecy. After the fight, Ned takes the bloodied up Dawn and sets it against Lyanna's bed after Jon's birth, with the imagery suggesting that Jon was indeed born under the protection of a bleeding star. Boom! There you have it, guys. Your prince who was promised, also known as the Son of Fire and the Warrior of Light, makes sense for a Targaryen, don't you think? But what do you guys think? Is there anything we missed after the epic winds of winter? Which brother do you think is going to force Cersei to bite the bullet? Is Arya about to become the Lady Stoneheart we've all been waiting for? Will Tyrion ever find love again? Let's discuss. And hey guys, it's Bloodwork Scott Ian. Scott, I am super jealous because you got to go behind the scenes of Game of Thrones and check out everything they did with the special effects. So, out of everything you saw, what was your favorite?
The sets themselves are insane. The throne room, the set, they're actually bigger in person than they look on TV. Like, if you could put a band in the throne room and probably put 5,000 people in there and do an actual show, it's massive.
It sounds like that's something you should pitch them.
We tried to record
That'd
drums.
be awesome. Oh my God.
we actually pitched us recording drums on our last record in the throne room because we felt that would be the most like metal thing to ever do.
Yeah, for sure.
And they totally said, yes, you can do it, fine. And it just came down to, it was going to be way too expensive for us to fly everything over to record like one song in the throne room. So next album, I think it'll happen.
Okay, good. Because, I mean, yes, expensive, but dude.
It was a scheduling thing too. We were already in the midst of making the record, but next record, if the throne room is still standing, yes.
Yeah, that's a very good point as well. Awesome, guys, check out Bloodworks. There is so much great Game of Thrones behind-the-scenes magic on it. They even turn him into a White Walker. Find it over at Nerdist.com.